everyone. Welcome to Beware of Spoilers after a very long time. This is Adam. Peter will not be on due to scheduling conflicts. And what better way to bring back what we've been on hiatus for a while with Solo, a Star Wars story. I've just seen this movie and I'm recording off my phone in my car. If you haven't seen it, maybe don't and just follow the trend of if no one's seen this movie, because it's a piece of crap. It's not the worst Star Wars movie that's come out because it's still better than Attack of the Clones and arguably The Phantom Menace. There's nothing about the movie that really stands out except for the last, I would say, scene with, with Darth Maul appearing. And the biggest problem the movie really has is it's trying to tell a story that really, I don't want to say doesn't need to be told, but because there's no need to justify why you're making a movie. That seems to be one of the things I'm seeing about this is the question of why did we make this? Why are we here? And I don't think it's a question that really needs to be answered as much as if we're going to do this as a prequel, we have to connect it back to where it is. And what I liked about it is that it doesn't do like where The Hobbit kind of pushes everyone into place for where they have to be for Lord of the Rings, and how even the prequel trilogy of Star Wars kind of pushes everyone in and here's where you have to be. You're basically setting everyone up on the stage for where they need to be when the next act starts of a play. And this one doesn't really do that. It kind of just sets up, okay, Han's going to go off to Tatooine with Chewbacca. They're going to try and work with Jabba now. That's the obvious setup. Kira, who is the character who played by Emilia Clarke, she kind of goes and is working now for Darth Maul, and it's kind of setting up where if you want the full story, you got to see in the next movie, which reminds me a lot of what happened at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, where it's like if you want to see the good movie, sit through this shitty movie first, and that doesn't really appeal to me as a concept. Sell this as a finished product, because right now, where they have the character Han Solo set up to go, you have the problem where it doesn't line up with where he is and what his character arc is for A New Hope. Where the movie ends with him actively helping the rebellion. He doesn't know at the time it's the rebellion, but it turns out that it's the rebellion that he's helping to set up by giving them the coax cable or whatever the hell that thing is. Whatever the movie's shiny object is that they're chasing down the entire movie. But the question is, when we see him in A New Hope, he's someone who's out for himself. He's not out to help anyone else. He's there for him. He's there to get his paycheck and go. This movie has him. He gets everything. Everything's set up for him to get a very nice payday with the rest of his crew. And then he just kind of fucks off and decides to, do other things instead, which is more altruistic and not what the character we see is. And one of his entire arc over the course of the original trilogy is we see him go from someone who's only out for himself to someone who's out for the betterment of everyone else around him. And that's part of what makes his arc work in that. But now we need a second movie to explain how do we get from point A, where we have him now, which is completely different from where we have him to start the next movie in the series. Whereas if you look at Rogue One, which is another prequel set between episode 3 and episode 4, it sets the stage for episode 4 in a way that completely changes the way it's framed, because it creates a hurried sense of everyone's now in a rush to get these plans, because it shows that rather than happening months ago or however long ago you assumed in your head, it shows that it's more important and more rushed to get these plans to someone who can actually do something with them. Now, the other thing is, I've seen a lot of people complaining about The Last Jedi and how that ruined Luke's character. arguably, you can make the case that Luke's character in The Last Jedi is an acceptable offshoot of where it is, because if you look at the original trilogy, we never really see Luke fail. So, to an extent, if we see Luke fail here at raising Kylo Ren, and then he moves on to he goes and kind of puts himself as a recluse. That's kind of a character jump that makes sense to me. Here, we don't really see any reason why anyone's acting the way it is, other than the fact that we know that in other movies they're acting that way. We don't see an evolution of a relationship between Han and Chewbacca. It just kind of, okay, well, they're friends at the end of this, so they have to be friends for this, too. We don't see that happen. There are other character relationships that you can expand on, and really, they don't really matter, because by the time the next movie happens, they're not there, so no one really should give a fuck. Like, what's going on with Kira shouldn't matter as a love interest when we know where he ends up. It's kind of pointless. To really expand upon that, especially when at the end of the movie she was working for Darth Maul the whole time, and arguably that's the best part of the movie is the whole sequence at the end with her after she kills Dryden Voss, who's played by Paul Bettany. And Paul Bettany actually does a very good job. I do like his portrayal of him, and I don't want to shortchange Alden Ehrenreich, who did a very good job playing Han Solo. And he had huge shoes to fill going into that role, going into a role that someone else was already known for and is iconic in the role, and making it your own is something that really should be applauded, and I don't think enough people give him enough credit for that. But the going off of what the best thing with the Darth Maul scene is, it highlights the score of this movie is probably the best thing about it, where they use musical cues from other parts of the franchise and meshes them all together in with an original soundtrack that sounds very nice. Like, there's part of Duel of the Fates when Darth Maul first appears and you first see his face, and it's meant to put you back to that, where even in the prequels, the movies may be shit, but some of the most hyped up moments and the best moments of the entire franchise are the lead-in and the tension built up to Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and then even if you go into Obi-Wan versus Anakin in Episode 3. So it really tries to channel those moments, too, and it does so in a way where it's not they're just playing the same song over to try and make you feel it cheaply. They're doing it in another way, to try and make it its own moment. And what else was there that was interesting with this movie? Not too much, because it's like there's nothing really touched on here that really expands upon anything we didn't know. Like, if they were telling a story that was completely unique from where the extended universe went prior to this movie, and prior to the Disney buyout, then it'd be different, where he's a pilot from who defected from the Empire and became a smuggler after. It's basically all the exact same story. They didn't make any changes, and it just makes me think, why did you throw all that out if you're just going to do it? If you just want to make a theatrical release of a book that covered that, that'd be different. But I think that's really all I have to say about this movie. Because I'm not going to see it again. It's not like Infinity War. I saw it twice in theaters, and both times that movie was fantastic. This one, I kind of just feel like shorthanded, and like I feel like they could have done more. And another thing that really should be touched on is Ron Howard did a great job with cobbling together this movie from initially what was Lord and Miller's movie, but they got fired and they basically reshot the entire thing. So they did their best with it, but they really needed to basically scrap this. I think that was really the only way to salvage this after they fired Lord and Miller, would have been to completely scrap it altogether. But yeah, don't see it in theaters. Wait for it to come out and just rent it in the Redbox if you really want to see it, or just buy it on DVD. Um, but this was the first movie that, even before release, I was like, I really had no rush to see it. That's why it's now late June at this point. The movie's been out for a month, and I'm just seeing it now. Um, but yeah, don't waste your money on this. I'm gonna do another one of these in a few days when I'm off again for Fallen Kingdom or Incredibles 2, whichever I can get tickets for. Those two were sold out today. That's why I ended up seeing Solo. Um, Solo, I would give a 5. Like, it's not the worst. It could have been worse, but it's not good enough to warrant being its own movie either. So yeah. I will be back probably Saturday for another new episode where I'll do either Fallen Kingdom or The Incredibles 2. Those are probably both going to be, I can guarantee both of those are going to be a better use of my time and money than this movie was. So on that, I'll be back in a few days.